there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi. Mom surprised me by bringing me a bowl of food. I had to eat it while it was fresh. I'm like, lady, thank you for the food, but gosh darn it, I didn't want to eat just yet. Dad made some chicken oyakodon booty, so I ate that. Like, okay, fine. I guess I gotta. It had the stuff that I like, of course. Chicken, egg, onions, mushrooms, and heck, they even added some pickles for me on the sides. I'm like, nom 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 nom. Takes a lot of room. Soaks, drink some juice, and then bam, now I'm here. And I am so prepared. Going for the little thingies first. Hey, hello, welcome. Ooh. Salted pork. Pork with spices, ginger, and vinegar. Oh, nice, that sounds good. I would trade some. I'm still jealous of this emperor doll. I mean, look at him. Hey, hello. So the last one for Magalan was this one, I think. The instructional soaring dragon drone. Hello. I still remember how my first university lecture ended up with us wandering the school building. We were in the classroom at first. Our professor had an amazing reputation. So there we were, waiting for him to enter, introduce himself, and begin teaching. That was a class as we knew it. But once our professor came in, he told us to pack our stuff and follow him. All the students did as they were told, and I was no exception. The whole way, he was telling us about the makeup of Colombia's geology, the manufacturers that made prospecting machines, and various archaeological findings. But every time we arrived at a statue or bust or the like, he stopped to introduce the next of these historical greats and school alumni that had made outstanding contributions to Colombian expeditionary causes. Finally, once he made a full circle and brought us back to the classroom, the course's real professor decided to show up. Wait. The class's real professor showed up? Huh? He sent off the old guy, introduced himself to everyone, and then announced that his first class was over. That actually sounds very fun. And hey, hello. Today, I slept until like 3 p.m. And then I worked at homework. So at least I did that. I was semi-productive. You should have heard my classmates whispering. Was it a prank? Was it some kind of school tradition? Some figured the old schmuck went out of his way to put it on. With all the power he had, not a single person cared about anything he just told us. Not a one. One day, I was eating lunch by a little brook on campus when I came across the man by accident. Moreover, he seemed to recognize me from back then and mentioned how I was taking notes so diligently. So I asked him, was he a professor at the school? And his response was no. I just give a little dirty money to the place, he told me. It was only then that I realized the man in front of me was on the school's board of governors. He said he retired by now, held all his property down to his children, and had nothing to do but occasionally come to the school and stroll around. He's just a bored little troll. He asked me what I planned to do in the future, and I said I was going to be a scientific explorer. Nice. You do that for a couple of years, and then you retire as a senior consultant for some non-profit environmental org. Good plan, young lady. Hello. I said I planned to remain an explorer until I was physically unable to. It seemed the moment I finished saying that, something in his eyes lit up. Then I wish you luck, explorer. Once you get results, remember to come back here. Tell the next generation the story of their predecessors. Then he left, just like that. And we never crossed paths again. Before I actually took on this career, I thought the whole thing was just a governor thing, giving a student some words of encouragement. However, now I totally understand the hopes, the expectations that those words entailed. Nobody ever made a scientific achievement in one shot. People like to only remember talent and attribute everything to miracle workers. But history is very, very long, and filled with all sorts of people giving everything they've got. Also, one subject or another isn't forgotten and left behind. Our lives are finite, and the new generation's always learning from the ground up. It falls to us to keep accumulating and synthesizing, endlessly to lay the bricks for those who follow us. I don't know if my findings will ever be enough to change this land. I just know that whatever I discover will be passed on to whoever comes next. They won't need to fall where I fell, or bleed where I bled. They can go further than I did and see further ahead. Even just the tiniest step can be enough to make a new history. That's the day I look forward to. Magalan. Forward to the instructional Soaring Dragon Drone development files. I want to know who that mysterious old man was. And now we'll go for Kelsey. Venetia. Oops, this one. The wind and sand kiss the sky, and by an oasis pool in the distance, a wandering merchant rested. Kelsey stayed silent for a long time, standing on the deck. Occasionally, she looked out into the distance, and sometimes down at her feet. It was as if the ship called Rhodes Island was hiding something from her. Until a young vampire stepped forward, holding a stack of documents. Hesitating slightly, Closure interrupted Kelsey's thoughts. Rhodes Island Pharmaceuticals Inc. Closure feigned a smile, swallowing her memories, and decided to continue. I looked a little bit at Mira. Mira looks fun to have. The work on the side of Rim Billiton is already done. Phew, those rabbits are a pain. None of them are as cute as Mia. They wasted so much of our time insisting on that the ship was registered for ore hauling. Closure paused. Fortunately, Kelsey snapped out of her reverie in time and gently responded in an almost soothing tone. Thank you for your hard work. What's next? Continuing the discussions we didn't finish in the last meeting. Are we going to lose more people? More people will leave. Kelsey gazed into the distance, where the wandering merchant had packed up. They belong to Babel, not Rhodes Island. I just hope there won't be any more bloodshed between us. I understand, but... A voice interrupted the two. Dr. Kelsey? Closure? Okay, yours is very built up. Hey, for next week then. The moment she heard the voice, a gentle and caring look flashed in Kelsey's eyes, but she quickly composed herself. Amia, you should be resting. I'm fine. I just had another nightmare. Amia tugged at her collar, and the wind was strong, and she was small. The trip to take the doctor to Chernobog, and the days we spent in the wilderness. Those Sarkas warriors. Hello, hello. Kelsey and Closure exchanged a quick glance. Closure understood what Kelsey meant, after all. Both Ascalon and Ace visited Amia often. They didn't say anything. Amia could sense it now as well. Yes. They chose to be our enemies. Why? Because they live under the beautiful promise of Babel. They don't want to give up that illusion. And to them, we are deserters. Is Mr. Reese's promise an illusion? To them, yes. Kelsey stood quietly beside Amia and reached out to pat her head. She had grown a little taller, but they believe that continuing the war will solve all their problems. Just ouch. Oh wait, it is a new week technically? Oh my, okay. But they believe that continuing the war will solve all their problems. They're not entirely wrong though. Hey, hello. I gotta learn more about Sami first. They're not entirely wrong though. Kelsey was slightly surprised for a moment. She looked at Amia, gazing at the tired and lost girl for a long time, until she finally felt a sense of relief. You're right, Amia. They're not entirely wrong. What about the doctor? Is Ursa safe? Amia looked up at Kelsey. They missed the doctor a bit. This innocent gesture made Kelsey slightly flustered. At that moment, Closure embraced Amia from behind. Look, Amia. Amia looked and saw an unfamiliar Rimbilitonian merchant, kicking up dust in the distance. The sand-covered cart tied with packages appeared heavy, and somehow cute. Closure playfully smiled and held Amia even tighter. Rhodes Island's journey is just beginning. When the doctor returns, we'll be Terra's greatest Earthpathy experts. Ah, yes, definitely. Terra's greatest Earthpathy experts. Haha. And now Angelina. Dear. We'll start from here. Angelina's badge. Operator Angelina had demonstrated a remarkable aptitude for impeding the enemy. The Field Operations Department has thus passed the following resolution. This operator shall be appointed a supporter operator during field operations to exercise decal binder responsibilities. In witness thereof, this badge is hereby conferred upon the above named. Angelina. And then there's the experimental anti-gravity module. Orange. Oh, those stickers. So much orange. A faintly perfumed letter. Pretty handwriting on the envelope gave the recipient's name and address with great care. Along with a dried pale purple flower stuck on with glue. The sender's face was sweet and brimmed with eagerness as she delivered it here, urging again and again to let her know straight away if there was a reply. Angelina gingerly left the letter on the recipient's windowsill, using a nice-looking stone to keep this kindness in place, so that it wouldn't blow off the next morning in the wind. How would the recipient feel when they saw it? With a light heart, Angelina leapt down from the building. A very old box. Seemingly years and years old, its sender was an elderly infected who lived in a wasteland settlement. Shaking, he wrote the address in one long string, crossing it out midway and changing it many a time, before finally, with a look of satisfaction, shutting his eyes. Quickly and nimbly, his fellow residents moved him somewhere far away, and so waited for his return to dust. Angelina found the address he had written, but the little cabin he'd reminisced was no longer there. Oof. A splendorous new building stood in its place, and her gates came to a halt. Who did the old man want to send the box to? What was inside it? Angelina carefully placed it back into her bag, and knew she'd never know the answers to these questions now. A bag of vibrant green limes. Angelina had meticulously picked these fruits out of the stall, plucked off the dead leaves, wiped them clean of grime, and even sprinkled a few fine droplets over them. With no recipient, no address, and no sender, she followed her own memories and arrived at a familiar place. The third house from the east end of the street. The mailbox had previously received a letter with a heart drawn on it, but the husband and wife behind the door never saw the sender for themselves. Still, this morning, when they opened up as a knock at the door to find a veranda empty, save for a few limes floating in midair, the couple knew that their daughter had come by. They could have cried tears of joy, and perhaps they did. Angelina sprung out from behind the door and gave them a great big hug. Oh, that's cute. And now gravity calibration module. I had this bizarre experience once. It was when I only just found out I had earthpathy, and they kicked me out of the city. There was this messenger who'd been sprinting to the wasteland settlement for nights on end just to hand me a letter so she wouldn't let down anyone's goodwill. Maybe she noticed I was kind of out of my senses, because after I found the letter, she suddenly held her hand out at me, all serious. If you're feeling down, I had this trick to make someone relax for a little. Do you want to give it a shot? I was permanently conscious about contact after my whole earthpathy diagnosis, but she grabbed straight onto my arm. Next thing to hit me was how my own body had gotten lighter. So light, I couldn't feel its presence anymore. And so I couldn't feel the originium in me either. There was light shining out of her staff, arts glittering like fireflies and circling around us, fading in and out. Oh, that sounds pretty. Then I realized we were fireflies floating in the air too. The land swayed away beneath our feet, and then I couldn't see my own shadow. All I saw was nomadic cityways stretching into the distance, the lights from all the settlements flickering like fireworks. Light as a feather, right? All your worries and cares floating like dust now? Along the nomadic city streets far away, the lights strung together into lines with the skyscrapers, shadows melting into the night. I used to hurry along their walls down the street, and the buildings always stood there being so ice cold and mighty. But now they seem so insignificant, distant, and innocent. Deep breaths, in, out. My breathing fused with the wind. We peacefully floated in the night breeze, with the wasteland sand low below us, and all the stars in the sky felt within reach. Congratulations! You've blown the dust away, I heard the messenger airily say. Oh, that must be fun though. Nicely flying around. Especially at night. Oh, that'd be the prettiest. And now to stare at the thingy. Oopsies, I'm so lost. But nah, I found it. So without further ado... Okay, let me get my little notes ready. I got this, I am so prepared. And let's see what song I want to put first. Don't mind me, just doing a little bit of steering. Oh, decisions. For the beats. You know, I want to start with The Great Beyond. So we'll set that for now. And then to go for the notes before going to the other stuff, so... Don't mind me. We're going to explore now, so... Got the little one open for... Ending 1. And now to stare. Let me read this real quick. Magellan turns on an audio recorder. Magellan. Scientific Explorer Magellan, starting audio log. It has been 12 days since the joint expedition team entered Sami. The tundra. The markwood. The smell of wood and moss. The weight of fresh snow. The temperature of the wind. The cries of the horned beasts. The buzz of data recording. The heat emanating from the survival equipment. The marks left by the trekking poles, the hum of drones taking flight. The expedition team explores a strange land. Magellan, our journey so far has been pretty smooth sailing, thanks to our 2 wonderful friends from Sami. Typhon, would you like to say a word or two? Typhon joins in. Typhon, huh? No, I'm busy. I have to look after these... colleagues of yours. Hello? Magellan, then... Typhon. Simone's also busy setting up some exercising stuff. And she's tracking down some Ursus thing anyway. Magellan. Okay. Anyway, we'll be lost in the forest right now if not for their assistance. Also, we're about to meet someone who's said to be a pretty reliable prophet. Magellan raises her head as she holds up the audio recorder. A tall figure is barely visible in the fog in front of them. The doom-seeing sarcasm Cyclops is waiting to show them the way. Careful consideration and calculation no longer hold meaning. Hello? The explorers step into solid earth, casting their gazes towards the vast unknown. They fumble around for the fate awaiting them in front of their noses. A lone explorer covered in dirt and grime asks you for today's date, and you hear him count the years in a whisper before he violently slaps himself in the face. Whatever, I made it back alive. He mumbles a few Colombian expletives. And who tricked you into coming here? Want me to pass on a message? Wish him well. Trust that his sincerity will move him. You're right. Luck does not... you're right. Luck does prove very useful in Sami. He jots your message on a piece of scrap paper, stuffs it into his backpack, and lets out a few more expletives as he leaves. You remember the name he's been cursing, and it seems to be the director of Rhine Labs' Scientific Investigation Section. Oh no, the director of Rhine Labs, huh? Trimelt's Travel Agency Dispatch. A micro-operation platform stops in front of you. Several large low-temperature storage boxes, commonly used for scientific research, are bound to the chassis with ropes, with a small lidded iron basket welded into a huge cryoshield. Inside are tourism flyers covered in scenic photographs of Tri-Mounts, Bunker Hill City, and Max DC, along with some embarrassing copywriting, claiming that their travel agency now has Sammy-speaking tour guides. Take away the flyers. Come see the cliffs and the desert. The operation platform spins around and makes a rhythmic ticking sound, as if telling you something, but before you can even consider anything, it emits a flash of dazzling light and disappears. You and your companions look at each other in dismay, but come to realization and you turn over the flyers in your hands. Amazingly, they all have the same set of coordinates and password printed on the back. Regular maintenance. Contrary to what Southerners may imagine, there aren't actually many sunny days on the snowy plains, and this is one of those days. You and your companions seize opportunity to conduct an inspection, setting up various instruments and equipment with everyone helping out. On a distant snowfield are mangler cubs frolicking with their prey, and a herd of hornbeasts on a migration. Look through a multicolor photometric telescope. Everything seems fine, and then you remember this telescope is not for viewing. And take out your binoculars. You see the herd heading your way. They're looking for moss, and the place you're going doesn't have any, so this means you're both heading in the right directions. Research outpost. You and your team members find an unmanned research outpost. Magellan skillfully opens the combination lock at the entrance and welcomes everyone inside. For now, the cold winds of Sami are far away, and you can take a breather to calm down and organize your thoughts. Seems like the drones found something. There are many choices to make on an expedition, and sometimes you follow experiences while other times you let fate decide. Following Magellan's drone, you find some old supplies in a corner of the room. A large amount of richly colored Colombian nutritional snacks are stored in a well-packaged metal box. Who is a selfish researcher that stashed all this here? A dark room. Following the directions left by a snow priest on their deathbed, you find a hut lodged in the wind and snow. Your companions switch on their searchlights, but the darkness is barely dispelled. You notice traces of a snow priest spell lingering on the night's edge. Just what do they fight here? The door suddenly slams shut. Hey, hello, welcome. Listen to Typhon. Your group does not take a step as you watch a sarcastic girl pull out an arrow to draw a slash across the wall. Perhaps it is her art at work. As the wall-borne moss curls up as if burning, falling off in large chunks. The room brightens up. You and your companions gratefully sit down to rest and decide to believe that Typhon is always right. She's always right, clearly. Prophecy, crossing Sammy's arm. The research team walks up the mountain ridge, and land behind gradually fades away. And aw, thank you. The distant scenery is shrouded with wind and snow, and the only thing nearby is a single path with no end in sight. You and your teammates are walking in between, not knowing where you have come from or where you're going, merely repeating the advancement of this journey. The mountain gale roars, the falling snow rumbles, and nature questions the group. Do you still wish to proceed? Proceed! Nothing can stop us! It is obvious that the environment can no longer stop mankind's footsteps, and so the mountain range raises a peak in front of everyone. Sami wishes to understand your determination. And now to go for Magellan Typhon Ending 1. Afterwards, some beautiful notes. Oh my, oh my. So starting with this one. Expeditioner interviews. Feel by your feet. Only when I was just about to reach my destination did I remember where I started. Part 1. She climbs and finds a resting spot among the endless clouds. Not at the peak of the mountain, but at the far end of the snowfield on the other side of the mountain. Behind her, Footprints both deep and shallow are scattered in the snow. She sees every step, remembers every step, and is like the thread of fate. And not wherever she stopped, stumbled, and picked herself up again. Magalan can see clearly where she took the first step. It was an ordinary afternoon. Her mother had the yellow pages open on her lap and was trying to sell things to whoever was on the other end of the phone in a voice both coarse and kindly. On the Mia TV, a gray flightless foul beast hits the screen with all of its stubby black wings. The young Magalan seems to hear its call, so she lifts a leg, puts it down, and slowly lifts the other. She does this over and over again. She hears her mother put the phone and the yellow pages on the ground and call her father, grandmother, neighbors, and even passing messengers, all to witness her memorable first time crawling. Cute! It was a special moment that was worth the audience. Little Venta crawls backwards towards the TV, then slowly turns around, reaching towards the foul beast within. Backwards? Sounds about right for her. She always finds a way, no matter how winding the path. As the memories flash through her mind, she lies prone in the sled, sliding from the top of the mountain and through the snowfield on the slope. Bang! The snow is like a blanket that covered her when she was a baby. It takes a while for her to come to her senses, or rather, to wake up from an infant slumber. The snow in front and above her is thick and heavy. She crawls slowly backwards, gradually emerging from the snow, and carefully stands up. Magalan shakes off the past. Ice crystals return to the great snowfield. Her first encounter with Sami reminds her of a saying that she heard while studying at the Exploration Society. "We're all children before Sami. It is waiting for you to find it." Part 2. Magalan walked across the winding river for days, like walking down the web of fate. What awaits downstream as she keeps going? Warm shoals or the cold north? Going upstream instead? Choosing the next distributary? She could not know the results of these choices, just as she could not have known all that she would see in Sami. Sami's rivers, Sami's branches, Sami's vines wound around her finger. Which path would show her the cause and effect of each choice? Ooh, unlike from Mizuki Kirula Arbor, where Mizuki's endings are possible what-ifs, from what you've seen by unlocking this, it's a matter of what if, or it isn't a matter of what if, but a matter of when will it happen. Oh! Ooh! For this one. Only Magalan knows at once there was an ordinary leaf that filled her heart. In the rays of sunlight shining through the leaves, she holds her breath, slowly and repeatedly following the veins of the leaf with her eyes. Everything is clearly visible, from the hairs of the leaf to the tiny holes, to the procession of ants marching across the surface. All little Venta remembered was the time seemed to slow down and elongate, like the branches of the leaf veins, like the trail of ants. Physical and ethereal lines that led her to stop in the woods, until she is called out of her eternal observation. It is the voice of the supervising teacher and her classmates. They had arrived in the river they were going to camp next to, and now returned in loose, scattered ranks. No one knew when she got separated. One of her classmates even brought up how he and Venta had put their hands on the river and wondered which distributary the water they were touching would flow into. Rivers? Distributaries? Magalan no longer remembers all that, but she does remember a river like it. In the corner of that forest, in front of that ordinary leaf, she felt like an explorer for the first time. What choice should she make now, in front of the river flowing through the wetlands? Magalan calls up a drone and activates the freeze module, slowing the river's time until it grinds to a halt. She puts her foot on the ice and slowly walks towards the other side. Ice, shore, moss, mud. Where should she go when she has arrived on the opposite shore? She bends down to pick up a leaf. In its veins, she seems to see Sami's answer. Part 3. When the explorer takes the first step, she feels the earth breathe beneath her feet. Was the voice of the earth always so heavy? It is only when she takes the second to wonder that she realizes everything here is heavier. Then she remembers. The explorer sheds unnecessary gear one by one, until all that is left is life support and a video recording module. She has just arrived, and she wants to learn more about her new environment. Soon, she realizes that the ground beneath her is smooth and slippery, and that she must be careful not to fall. It would be a big problem if she did. The ground is ice as far as the eye can see, and she could not tell where it ended, if ever. If she slipped, she would slide forever until she slips into eternal slumber. The explorer knows that this is not the first time she has set foot on the cold, barren land. In Sami's benevolent vision, she has trekked through the folds of snow and forest, and penetrated the endless ice field. She's encountered it countless times in the bedtime stories of her childhood, the books of her youth, and the tales of her journeys. Then and there, that the endless ice field, the great behemoth that has always watched over her subconscious, lies beneath her feet. What would be the feeling? Sami's alive. You're walking on her body and is watching you. Oh, that would be interesting. Like, okay, well, the land's always gonna be watching me anyways. Gotta be respectful always, of course, as one do. At the same time, oof. Oh, the pressure. She sees that the shadow cast by the mountain, the shadow cast by the stars and the aurora, and she sees the great ring forming infinity out of the cold and nothingness with its reflection. In the shadow foretold by her, to her by Sami, she keeps advancing, answering the gaze in the abyss with her footsteps, responding to an irresistible pull. Come to think of it, the end she saw was just the beginning. The explorer had once escaped the gaze, but she never thought she would encounter it again. It all happened so naturally. At the end of the heavy and slippery ice, she sees a shadow again. When their gazes meet, she seems to see the procession of ants, the growth of the leaf veins, and the flow of blood in the body. The invisible thread of fate drawing her inexorably towards an old friend in another realm. This was your choice. This is your end. There is no sound, but the explorer hears Sami's erstwhile answer clearly. Did you know all this in the shadows, Sami? An old friend, eh? And now Typhon's. Fix on it. Expeditioner interviews. Part 1. She shouts, yells, screams. It is a dream of strife. She has lost sensation in her legs. Man, speaking of losing sensation in legs, one of my legs is asleep right now. It's just an oof feeling. Many shards embed themselves in her body. Blood flows. The air is filled with smoke. The Southerners left without so much as a glance back, as if they never heard her. Typhon knows the weapon they used to hurt her, the explosives that send originium shards flying. They had used the same method to blow apart the old entangled tree. One talks into the communicator with no hint of joy or guilt. We shook the Sami guide. She was very superstitious and kept obstructing our investigation with her arbitrary rules. Our maps are good enough that we don't need a guide anymore. No worries. I'll contact base camp if there's a problem. Maps are no use if you incur Sami's wrath. She will raise the mountains and will call the wind and snow upon you. Typhon tries to give them a final warning. Exploration fever has brought survey team after survey team into the Sami's ice fields, followed by pioneer teams and engineering vehicles. Sami has tolerated these visitors, permitted their power plants, camps and depots, and communication stations, and even abided the occasional fire and lingering smoke. The improved facilities have made exploration much safer for the Southerners, but Sami's environment has not become any more forgiving, nor has the threat of the icefield gone away. Typhon, like many Samis, serves as a guide and a rescuer, teaching the children of the South an important lesson: respect nature and never cross its boundaries. Alright, we'll take samples here. The Southerner, who no longer had any patience for her teachings, speaks into the communicator. We removed all the superstitious Sami crap. Wow, this person. Just oof. Like, come on, people. When visiting places, always gotta pay respect. Especially if the locals say stuff. Instead of being like, this superstitious Sami crap. Me. Just oof. But the clan tree, Typhon has no more strength to speak. Smoke gets into her eyes, and her tears mix with the blood dripping into them. A tribe's clan tree falls to the roar of the chainsaw, and the sound of it hitting the ground summons the clansmen. A battle of shame and vengeance, of blood for blood. The light of sarcasm arts flickers in the melee. Typhon tries to draw someone's attention, be it the explorers or the Sami. She is hoping someone will understand her signal and turn their attention to what she is pointing at. She sees a shadow of the demon chasing after them. Finally, a Sami notices her. He berates her, the sarcastic outsider who had led the way for the explorers, and brings his hammer down. The dream comes to an abrupt end. The alert hunter leaps up, pointing her bow at the shadow emerging from the forest, and threatening her sleeping friend from the survey team. She lets the arrow loose without hesitation. Just ouch. Like, I am impressed by Typhon, especially taking care of her sleeping friend, but oh, I hate these people. Part 2. She counts the cracks on her hand. It was a dark dream. Step by step, she stumbles forward, as if the cold wind on the ice field could blow her over at any moment. Barren whiteness and the vast void flash alternately across her eyes. At times, she feels like she's being thrown into darkness, surrounded by stars, with the familiar past and the unfamiliar future drifting down like snowflakes. She can no longer tell day from night, nor how far she has walked, but she continues to count. She raises her hand, and she counts every tiny little wound on it. She keeps blinking and tells herself not to think that she cannot see clearly, for she would truly lose her vision if she did. She knows her full well. 39? 40? Then she loses consciousness for a moment, from both fatigue and hypothermia, but immediately restarts the count. 1, 2, 3. Any mistake would cause her perception of numbers to become distorted, and she loses understanding of the most basic knowledge. The boundary between the ice field and Sami still seems so far away. The sun seems to have risen and set again. The distance to the dark mountains, faintly visible in the distance, has not changed. She knows there's a path to avoid the warriors in the north, and she must go there, or the intolerant mountain folk will kill her once they see her corrupted appearance. Her legs look blue and gray. It takes all of her effort to bend her knees, stretch them, lift them, and put them down. Is she supposed to put them down when walking? She savors the sensation of her boots stepping on ice, even if this itself is likely part of her imagination. The wound penetrating her calf has not healed, nor has the bleeding stopped if in the cold. The leg below it has turned black. Typhon tells herself that it's only necrosis due to frostbite, but she keeps going. Sheesh! Her quiver is empty, with only a heavy bow still on her back. She no longer has the strength to draw it. Her arms are stiff from maintaining the same position in front of her chest. In her bosom, she holds a small box. I hope this is just a dream. I won't lose to you, she thinks. I won't throw this bow away. From the first day we met, I told you. I won't be afraid of you. I won't lose. She will bring this box back to Sami, through the forest to the southernmost point. She can still walk. Until she sees a familiar figure on the unchanging ice field. Argus gazes at her, and she remembers everything. The box in her bosom holds a flower that they found together. Argus asks her to bring it back to a Colombian in Kapat. Well, she went to find a group of explorers who lost their way in the ice fields. Looks like you never found them, but at least the flower. Right then, the order of language collapsed, followed by all thought and consciousness. On the ice fields, a body begins to lose its form. The parts not yet covered by shadow fall towards the ground under the influence of gravity, but the rest stay in place, holding the whole up. The shadow covers more and more bodies, connecting segments of space. It slowly restores the data, resembling a human form standing on the land. Cyclops arts fight the demon over the remaining biological tissue, preventing it from fully becoming nourishment for the latter. Hey, hello, hello. It's fun reading. Though, this one's painful. I feel so bad for Typhon. A black, empty face sits opposite of the Cyclops' face. The box falls to the ground. Typhon wakes in the dream. It is another dream of being hunted by a shadow, she thinks, as she slings her weapon over her shoulder. The hunter that belongs to the shadow has always been by her side. The day will come eventually when she's no longer hunter, when she's no longer in command of her weapon. But whatever my fate may be, for now, I am a hunter. First rule of Sammy, never talk about Sammy. Uh-oh then. Part 3. So our dreams are actually Sammy speaking to us? You could say that, answers Typhon. But it could be a call from long ago. Argus says that fate is like a snowball. The higher up it starts rolling, the longer it takes to hear the sound of it hitting the ground. She pauses her conversation with the young researcher. The other members of the survey team are stirring and sitting up in the campsite formed from the tree branches, opening cans and discussing in low voices the strange dreams they had last night. Typhon takes an uneasy walk around them. The protections at the entrance have not been damaged, no one tried to start any machines, and no one gives off a demonic scent. How many survey teams has she escorted? Typhon does not remember. Only that both Magellan and Argus have gotten closer to their goals in recent years. As for herself, she needs no goal for the future, only to do her job here and now. She must preserve Sammy's order from the creeping shadow that seeks to break the eternal cycle of the hunt. I dreamed of a saddled creature, 2 stories high, charging towards me, said a researcher when she passed by. That's a rockhorn, Typhon explains. We'll see them in the flesh when we go further north. I dreamed that it was an eyeless underground creature, digging beneath the frozen soil. Another anxious researcher asks, is that a bad omen? Just a shadow covering your eyes. It's not an uncommon dream in Sammy. Ooh. Oh heck yeah, I hope we all get super good luck for Iblana. Also, I wonder if we went to Sammy, what kind of dreams would we get? The Southerners always make such a fuss about dreams. The dreams Sami bestows them, some want to avoid the nightmares, yet reject the food and rituals of the Sami, trusting only in their own sleeping medicine. But Typhon does not get angry at them. Who gets angry at the young foal that's just stepped into the world? She walks back to the young researcher and slings her great bow on her back. What about you, he asks. Do you dream about things from long ago? Of course. After some hesitation, the young researcher reaches into his bag. You should have this back. Maybe someone with your experience doesn't need an outsider worrying about you. But if any of us needs to be well rested and safe from nightmares, it's you. He's holding a dream catcher that Typhon had gave the team. More and more nightmares are wound around its threads. Helpless foal returning to the dark ice field, seeing the bones rolling out from the nest. Ill fates of all kinds hide in the dreams. There, the shadow is the only hunter, the manifestation of fear. I don't need it, she answers. That is cute though, how she gave them a dream catcher, but oh, based on the dreams they're having, they're not happy about it. Yet, that's not even the nightmares that were caught. I wonder how bad the nightmares that were caught in the dream catcher were. And now for the thingy. So ending 1. To talk with the mountains. Part 1. View. Mary Ann returned to Ryan Lab HQ a few months ago. His appearance in Trimonts is such a rare occurrence that when he walks through the corridor to Control's office, most people only recognize him through the characteristic sound of his cane tapping on the ground. In this regard, electronic equipment... Oh wait, scene first. Never mind then. Okay. Oops. Boop. Stare. Where are you headed? Alarmed, Magellan looks around and covers her ears. Am I hearing things? She walks out of the Fial Bercheton and finds the ice field before her eyes. The blizzard rumbles in the sky. Its roar pierces her body. The gridlock of jagged frozen earth and the eternal ice sends both tremors and chills up her feet, through her feet. She is now within the blizzard. She can no longer reject the voice. Where are you headed? An impossibly heavy gaze lands on the young outlander. Yet she feels not the oppression of being questioned. Instead, she feels the thirst to confide in this ancient will. I will explore the unknown. With what will you walk forth? Curiosity, bravery, knowledge, technology, and also the experience of those who have walked before me, and the help of my Sami friends. Before the joint expedition team sets out, we even said in our manifesto that we bear the mission of pioneering the future for all mankind. It really satisfies the ego, but I guess it's a bit too lofty for me to say myself. A wish is just a wish, that's all. Yep, to me, wishes are important too. What do you seek to take away? Ecological samples, data, notes, photos, knowledge about Sami, the key that leads to the ice field, and myself. My teacher told me that the most important thing during an expedition is to survive. That's the only way you'll get to hand what you've collected over to others and pass on your knowledge. I have a question too. Are you Sami itself? Suddenly, the sound of the ice field's winds becomes all the clearer. The protector has allowed her to walk out of its embrace. It has accepted this outlander, seeing her as its own child. As such, it pushes the outsider further into the ice field's blizzard, into the frigid cold, and toward the fate that the Sami have haughtily and peacefully accepted. Actually, I was a little unsure at first. There have been no records of Sami talking to an outsider before. The Sami also say that you fell asleep and rarely speak at all anymore. All-Father, have you asked anyone else questions like this? And where did the expeditioners who answered you go afterwards? I love how Sami just adopted Magellan. It's like, you know what? I like you, girl. You're my new child. The weather gets terrible once you make it through the Fial Bitterton. Like now. You okay, Maggie? I'm no stranger to the ice field anymore. Were you really just spacing out then? No. I was just thinking about something. Like Simone said, it can be that the Colombians are the only ones who like to explore. That Ursus only likes to expand its territory, and the Sami have no interest in the outside world. In every era, there are bound to be expeditioners who want to scale the mountains, leave Sami's embrace, and walk toward the endless ice field. Of course, Sami's warriors are silent and conservative, but if anyone wishes to do so, Sami Villain would not stop them. Why, what's wrong? Nothing, let's go. She doesn't tell her that she might only have found the self-evident answer in a trance, or that she may have heard tens of thousands of stories over that much span of history. In an instant, she learned the names of countless men and women who went unrecorded in the history books. The expeditioners who never returned. The face of the endless ice field does not seem to have gotten much clearer either. Even so, will she keep moving forward? Sami no longer waits for her answer. The mountains gradually disappear into the blizzard behind her. All there is before her eyes is a vast, silver-white field and a dark shadow stretching on without end. Magellan is very likable. She's very sweet and respectful. So now back to this one, part 1, view. Mariam returned to Ryan Lab HQ a few months ago. His appearance in Trimount is such a rare occurrence that when he walks through the corridor to Control's office, most people only recognize him through the characteristic sound of his cane tapping the ground. In this regard, electronic equipment has an advantage. The ID card that has traveled the entire length of Terra immediately identifies its bearer as Mr. Undinate Mariam. Mr. Undinate Mariam, who has an appointment with Control. As usual, Ryan Lab's control sits before a console, eyes fixated on the monitor, and hardly reacting to her visitor. With one hand she gestures for Marianne to sit down, while with the other hand, she flicks across the panel, causing the ideas of countless Ryan Lab scholars to flash across her display. Marianne wordlessly puts down the application files for the survey project and remains standing before her desk. He prefers the feeling of standing on real terra firma to any futuristic aesthetics or ergonomic designs. The Infi ice field. Kristen finally picks up the application. 15 members, the largest polar survey to date. Our accumulated experience and the facilities at the base station are sufficient to support an expansion in our survey activities. Many mysteries still lie hidden in the endless ice field, and it's time we discover them. Getting a meeting with Control was not an easy thing these days. Marianne knew that her trips away from HQ had become more frequent and longer in duration. Maintenance staff at the Scientific Investigation Section reported that she had quietly visited many remote survey locations before spending long periods at the location of the underground signal near Tri-Mounts. He had a hunch that she had already found what she had asked him to look for back at the party. But her ambition was not his concern. He was here because every survey project in the Scientific Investigation Section had Control's signature on it. Would you not go if no one agreed with you? Kristen suddenly asked. The Kuranta, never one to be verbose, snorted. The answer was obvious. Even if there were no mission, no recognition, Marianne the Explorer would continue to walk towards the unknown. Horizon on his own, cane in hand. I believe we can get closer to the end of the Infi ice field, he said, pointing to the application. Infi ice field, yes, Infi ice field. The continuation of one of your survey projects, a partial answer to your spirit of exploration. I met God, you know. As close to omniscient as you can get, Marianne. He told me things about the end of the ice field that I thought I should share with you. Ah, yes, God, John frantically jots notes down, while Sophie compares previous data on the ice fields to the visitor's statements. The research station's life support system runs without a hitch, providing heat and clean water to the rare glut of visitors. After a few hours of conversation, the members of the research team began to accept the sarcastic visitor, who she claimed to be a cyclops who lived in seclusion in the northern mountains of Sami. One with the gift of foresight, prophet or not, her information was detailed and accurate. She would make a good guide. On behalf of Ryan Lab's Scientific Investigation Section, I hereby express their interest in working with you, said Marianne, who had remained silent up to this point. I just have one question. Go ahead. You claimed you need to work with outsiders because you saw what lay deep within the ice fields. Have you ever reached the end of the ice fields? I can tell you the dangers I've foreseen. Marianne mused upon the word, prophet, omniscient. He laughed, something that was decidedly out of character for him. But this isn't the first time someone's tried to tell me what the end of the endless ice field looks like. But don't bother. Let's see it for ourselves. I like how Mariam's like, no spoilers please. I want to see it for myself. Come on. Now sunrise. The explorers embark on their return journey. Sami no longer denies their passage, but the encounters and events along the way here have all but exhausted their supplies. All of them wish to take just one step further, but all of them know it'll be one step too far. It is time to return to the south, resupply, research, and request funding. The team will not head north again until all is ready. Some have already started calculating the cost-benefit analysis of the expedition on the way. Personnel, equipment, supplies, all necessary losses in exploration. Discovery of new species, documentation of phenomena, publishing an account of the journey. All potential gains from the expedition that may ensure that there is a next one. Most importantly, as Southerners, They have earned the goodwill of the Sami people. In the past, they could not expect any assistance from friends from Sami. Ah yes, friends from Sami, not barbarians. They would count themselves lucky simply not to be on the receiving end of their axes and arrows. But they have made enough trips into Sami and the ice fields. There is no reason for humans to senselessly fight other humans. You trade rations for weapons. I trade medicine for new things from the outside. Some explorers end up staying behind at Sami camps, facilitating communications and trade with the natives. Few would admit that they had fallen head over heels for a certain pretty or handsome Sami. I like that. Some young warriors, tired of life in the villages, joined the research teams as guides and bodyguards. The walls of prejudice gave away as exchange became more frequent, and the two sides began to learn from and understand each other. Sami or Colombian, they all have one head, 2 hands, 2 feet, most of the time. Maybe the occasional tail. This time, the Sami hold a feast to see their explorer friends off on their journey home. A bonfire is lit under the clan tree, and Sami and the outlander alike sing and dance around the fire. Wooden puppets furiously spin the hand-power generators, supplying power to the countless lights hung everywhere. Wild beasts and drones dance in the sky together, to the tune of Sami hunting songs. With the clan tree's permission, the tribe's snow priest hangs a great disco ball on the branches and raises their scepter to call down lightning. A disco ball? Oh my. It makes me wonder if the Emperor ever returns home every so often or nah. After a few moments of crackling, the disco ball begins to fill the space with enchanting, colorful lights. Magellan cuddles up in a blanket, telling stories of her travels to fascinated Sami girls and fluent Sami. Oh, she can speak Sami too. Instant noodles float in wooden bowls, while the Sami girls eat their porridge from the plastic and stainless steel bowls. The revelers share food and stories. For some reason, the scene reminds Magellan of a bonfire party at the school lawn. A long time ago. The people care nothing for complicated matters, like who is Colombian and who is Sarkaz. There are no goals nor ideals. Enjoy the moment, that is all it takes. Magellan finds herself relaxing for the first time in a while. She curls up and drifts into a dream. As the other girls continue to chatter and chatter, the other girls lay her on the ground, cover her with the blanket, pull the door sheet down, and silently leave the tent. As the last girl leaves, she hangs a dream catcher on the tent's beam. Tonight's noise will not interfere with Magellan's sweet dream. She wakes up to find that a new day has come. She opens the tent door. The morning rays rush in. The sun is rising in the distance. Most of the others still slumber in their tents. Last night's revelry having taken its toll, Magellan walks up to the cliff and looks up at the rising sun. Exploration never stops at exploration. Magellan knew that. Why then? A hunter who had risen early walks up to Magellan, asks to sit with her to watch the sunrise together. And Magellan assents. She passes a gummy with the colorful packaging to the hunter. Ah yes, a gummy with the colorful packaging. Shakalicious. I'm sorry. Who takes the candy and begins digging in her own pocket to find something. She eventually finds a piece of jerky shaped like a branch and gives it to Magellan. Magellan thanks her and accepts. The two chew on their respective prizes for a while, as they savor the sun's journey into the heavens together. Yummy! Delicious jerky that looks like a branch. I'd be more in awe. Part 3. Indistinct Earth. Magellan is walking along the plains spread across the subterranean realm. The land is vast, yet few know of the wonders here beneath the surface. 3 days ago, she rappelled down one of the deep holes found across Sami, trying to discover the secrets within the scars of the earth. In her investigations, she finds plants attached to the rock wall as well as slimy secretions, increasing in frequency as she descends further. Past a certain depth, the plants and the secretions fill virtually the entire space, but Magellan finds a way to keep going down down, down, searching in the vegetation, reaching out in the darkness. Finally, her hand finds wet, slippery rock. She has reached the deepest parts of the hole. This place is like an ethereal paradise, the mist veiling everything that the light touches. The earth below and the rocks around are damp, but the air feels slightly dry. It feels less like Sami than the forest in Victoria, Lithuanian. Magalan checks the equipment that she brought. All instruments are silent, and her other equipment is less responsive than it should be. She must light a torch and proceed in the darkness. It hardly feels like she's underground. She might as well not be, except for the solid rock where the sky ought to be. Moss and lichen have thoroughly covered the few fallen rocks, plants and the likes of which Magalan has never seen grow in abundance. The fruits look tasty, but eating them is a risk that she will not take while she still has rations with her. I want to taste the fruits. There are even streams and rivers in this underground space, real water, no different from the above ground. It is cold and sweet, with a flavor that Magalan cannot describe. Ancient, lost, or... Magalan savors it again. It is the sound of silence. It is a soundless lament. Magalan follows the water and finds a cave at the end. Magalan follows the cave and finds a regularly blinking light at the exit. Attached to the cave, it spreads out far and wide, branching and blinking constantly. But the light in the middle is the brightest. Magalan follows the light. She does not know how much time has passed. Time no longer seems important. She has already cast aside all her gear. She holds a single walking stick in her hand, her long hair hangs down. She has not started a fire for a long time, where the rock wall continues to provide light from time to time. Rations had long since run out, replaced by fruit and spring water. She continues walking, accompanied by her most loyal companion. Passion for exploration, the thirst for knowledge. How long was she under here? Because she has long hair now, she ran out of her food. Finally, Magalan finds herself at the end of the road. There is a great tree there, not unlike the calm trees that Magalan has seen before. It is wrapped in an oval membrane that expands and contracts. Each cycle sends a ripple into the darkness in the distance. The light led Magalan here. The end of an exploration, a journey for knowledge. Magalan decides to seek her reward in the most primitive way. She reaches out and touches the membrane. It throbs powerlessly and repels her hand. A light shoots out towards the distance and the rock wall above, splitting and glowing like stars in the night. Magalan thinks. She puts her hand to her chest. She feels her heartbeat and that of the tree. She understands now. It is no plant. It is the heart of Sami. She has walked across Sami's spine, challenged Sami's will. She has descended into Sami's scar and wandered inside of Sami's body. Through Sami's bones, following the lights of Sami's neural network, Sami forgives her intrusion. It has shown her its scars and vulnerability as a gift to the explorer. Dang, he really likes her. No one knew of Sami's pain until now. Compassion from a kindly spirit gives comfort to its tired soul. Magalan turns around and finds the rope she has come down from. All she needs to do is tie it around her, tug on it, and she will return to the surface. Or... Magalan keeps walking. The wall at the end of the road. There are symbols there, which Magalan has seen on sculptures. Sami's message. A message of concern, not for Sami itself, but for Magalan. The path ahead will not be so smooth, but she keeps walking. Past the illusion of the end, past Sami's mirages. From light into darkness. Sami does not understand. Sami is silent. Magalan keeps walking. She wants to reach Sami's brain, understand the source of Sami's memories and emotions. She wants to learn about Sami. She wants to understand Sami. Oh, cute! And oh, good night to you. Good night, sweet dreams. I like how Magalan really wants to get to know Sami. Like stars, press onward. The drone proceeds smoothly and quietly under the operator's control. While Magalan felt alone for so long, or her other companions only felt like a short time. Yeah, definitely. Press onward. The drone proceeds smoothly and quietly under the operator's control. The rock structure is crushed, and Magellan carefully collects the plants with her complete root structures exposed. She then recalls her soaring dragon drone and disassembles the modules one by one. After completing the specimen collection, Magellan takes out her pen recorder. This is the first time the joint expedition team has entered Sami. She remains silent for a long time. The exploration craze on the Infi ice field has been going on for a few years now. Following the expedition team, Magellan has set off for the ice fields from Sami countless times by now. Humanity's understanding of them has finally started to come into focus, and the university she once studied at has now invited her back to teach, where she would be greeted by countless expectant eyes and filled with dreams. In the many days and nights prior, she tried her best to record everything she saw and learned, carefully picking out the knowledge to be passed on to future explorers. She stays silent for a moment, then puts away the pen recorder and begins to conduct a routine inspection on the drone. Due to the lack of maintenance in these harsh conditions, a number of components are worn out. It is fortunate that there were no malfunctions during the operation, no flashing lights, no abnormal beeping. Magellan shuts the somewhat loose inspection hatch, slings her equipment over her back, and heads out from the chilly cave. The mountain trail is covered by snow, the way forward completely obscured by black haze. Magellan pauses at the mouth of the cave, briefly hesitant, before taking out a compass and a barometer to help get her bearings. She lowers her head to check the compass, while at the same time taking her first laborious steps onto the ice. Press onward. Surrounded by nothing but silence, she trots on alone, not a soul to keep her company. The other members of her team, including the local Semi-Fjord, who offered to help, have already fallen along the way. However, even if they were still here, they would no longer recognize the researcher in front of them. Melted black snow flows through the air, blocking the road ahead, but Magellan simply ignores it and continues to plod onward. The subtle movements amidst the Fjall Bitterton are but distorted shadows. Due to the gravitational disturbance, instruments are stacked atop their forearms. The biological specimens collected along the way expand their outlines, constituting their predatory behavior. Their shifting shape seems to simulate rhythmic footsteps, while their position in real space fluctuates incoherently. With no sense of reason, the shadows cross through the barrier. The straps worn away by the long trek had snapped a long time ago, but only now did the tote bag fall due to the gravitational disturbance. The explorer's manuscript to those who would carry her torch is buried beneath the black snow. Tucked within is a letter yet to be sent. Without attempting to address the root cause, I've experimented with various methods of avoiding collapsal contact, but I know these methods are far from foolproof. As we accumulate experience and gain a deeper understanding of these phenomena, collapsals, in turn, exhibit even more diverse phenomena. They can never be fully documented. Perhaps we're not yet ready to face this realization. Perhaps we never will be. But I also know that despite the warnings, despite the dangers, we will ultimately press onward. Even the compass in her hand can no longer identify which way is north. The surface of the disc has been sealed by a murky black, and upon Magellan giving it a little shake, it briefly reflects a kaleidoscope of brilliant colors. But Magellan is indeed heading north. Between frost-bound cliffs and drifting black snow, the icefield yet looms. A glimmer of silvery light pours through the crevice, shimmering in the darkness. Well, she's totally fine, right? Yeah, she's totally fine. She's alright. She got the blessings of Sami after all. Like, let's just ignore all the distortions and darkness and stuff. No, she's fine. She's totally fine. Yeah, incredibly fine. And now for the secret notes. Was it over here? I think, yeah. So, Observer's vision, Hornblower's vision, and Merchant's vision. So filled expedition record for observer's vision. The expedition records will be handed over to Miss Arges, who will locate a messenger to bring them back to Rhine Lab. She is watching me write these last few lines, waiting to deal with the contamination I caused. Rhine Lab Scientific Investigation Section. The recorder is currently entering the logbook of John, deceased scientific investigation member. Much of it is covered in black liquid, and she is struggling to decipher the text. The logbook chronicles the largest exploration of the endless ice field since the establishment of scientific investigation, and likely the last. More than a dozen explorers, including Director Mariam, perished in the sudden extreme weather. The diary was brought back by Sami Local. According to records, when she discovered John, the final survivor of the team, she only had time to watch him finish writing his suicide note. The recorder turns another page. It's possible that she's not even looking at me. It's as if she's talking to the air above my head. After that, a large number of meaningless lines are left on the paper in ballpoint pen, crisscrossing several pages in a row. On the next intact page, there's only one line, completely unlike the previous text. I'll never be able to see that future again. Well, Hornblower's vision. A request for help. I write this letter with immense guilt upon learning that you are a former rescue squad member who has left Sami. The vast majority of people are indifferent to Sami, so I can only turn to you with this request. What Rhodes Island? Chani Palat receives a letter. The sender is a Colombian plant enthusiast. When he entered the Mirkwood to observe its ecology, he was unfortunately beset by snowstorm. The vehicle he was driving was struck by a giant falling tree, and half of the car was buried beneath the falling snow. Fortunately, a member of the rescue squad located him and blew the rock horn to call for help. Everyone worked hard to drag the injured man out of the car and transfer him to an open area nearby. But what happened next filled him with regrets. When the rescue squad members tried to use arts to melt the ice and snow, freezing the trunk of the vehicle, heat-inducing arts triggered an explosion of the originium fuel inside the vehicle, causing members of the rescue squad caught in the epicenter of the accident to suffer varying degrees of burns and show signs of a ripethy infection. Oof. Furthermore, 2 members were left disabled due to their lack of experience in dealing with such traumas. We're the ones who brought these originium machines over, yet weren't able to solve the problems they caused. If Sami's rescue team had more experience communicating with the outside, or if more disaster relief from the other countries were willing to come here, we might have been better prepared to deal with these technology-related accidents. Maybe that explosion would never have happened in the first place. And now for the merchant's vision. Premonition of the past. No news from Tranquil Sami. Kapat's intercity net is rarely updated, limited mostly to tourism inquiries from Colombian visitors. At the office of Vovort Kochinsky, open in this small town, 2 on-duty researchers are chatting about news that a newly opened tourism route had caused the disappearance of several tour groups. Outside the window, a passing local stops to look inside. Excuse me, are you looking for someone? The researcher walks around outside and greets her in broken Sami. She shakes her head and responds in Colombian. There's nothing I want to see here, before turning and walking away. 2 years later, the office left Kapat amidst a wave of departures. The work of sifting through data is coming to an end. The researcher breathes a sigh of relief and lifts his head emotionally to look at the scenery of the desolate town street. The window spanning from floor to ceiling reflects his own uniform-clad figure. The figure looks back at him, but he sees another pair of eyes through the reflection. They're the lightly colored eyes of a Sami woman. Oh, a Sami woman, you say? Well, well, well. And then there's getting ready for the second ending. Let me decide what music I want. Oops, I went out. I meant to go here. Evoking is tempting. we're gonna evoke some emotions here. With a second ending, totally. That is kind of fun though. That is actually very fun. All endings are canon. And a time gap from each other. You know, the first one was actually kind of more nice than I thought it would be, honestly. I expected more craziness. Which is kind of good though. So before starting the second one, I'm just gonna grab a drink real quick. Cause you know, hydration important. Okay, I'm back. Got some soul juice. I just know the name. Soul is in the place in Korea. Soul juice. Whoops, accidentally spilled some juice on myself, but it's okay. Me. At least it's tasty. I'll smell like soul juice now. And you know, I am liking the vibe of Evoke, so let's stick with Evoke for now. Might change it after reading the main thingy, but for now, we'll stick with that. Ooh, if you describe the progress Maglan has made, which part of Sammy did she end up with? Well, she somehow found an underground cave to find Sammy's heart. She probably reached the mind. Only her, though. And I could see Sammy just letting her have like maybe a cheat route to getting to a area quicker than the others. But now prepping for ending number 2. You are lost and rescued by a local shaman. A local shaman who seems to be used to this. She enthusiastically offers you some help, saying that she's carrying more than she needs. However, as you talk to her, your gaze cannot help but to drift to the path she comes from, as well as the withered vegetation on it. Relation to the evil spirits of the north mentioned in Sami legend. She tells you that those coins were left behind by companions who were sacrificed. Nature's power, and since we draw power from it, we will of course fight off the threat. Fins of wood and snow. In a corner of Sammy lies a clearing surrounded by snow-covered thorns, and you don't know when exactly you ended up inside. The light of the twin moons descend from the sky, and although it gives off no heat, it is as dazzling as the sun. You search for shade from the bright light, but only find an old tree, a human, a giant crow. While they are far from you, their shadows reaches your feet. You need only offer a word of tribute, and you will receive their shelter. You blurt out, doubt. The word pops out of your mouth before you can think, and represents your lack of understanding of Sammy, and so, the thorns reach out from the snow, pushing you back into your teammates. Lowland Market. A huge clan tree sits submerged in a swamp, with Sammy traders all over its trunks, the roots, and by the banks. Branches move back and forth between the stalls as animals cry out to peddle goods or transmit information. Wooden puppets trudge between the ground and swamp to store their cargo. Everything just feels so exotic. From what we saw in the beginning, it's that Magellan survived all through ending 4. Oh wow. You know, Magellan is just built different. She's the ultimate explorer, and Sammy accepts her, so Sammy will be extra kind to her. And she's also besties with the Emperor, so that gives her extra bonus points, I guess, with Sammy. You discover a colony of muskbeasts in a clearing. The little white creatures are bunched up together like a woolen quilt. Your presence does not scare them away. And on the contrary, you have a vague sense that they're actually inviting you. Hey, hello. Thank you. Dive into the fluff. Even through your cold-proof gear, you can fully feel the softness and warmth. You spend the afternoon lying down on the ground, thinking about the sky, the forest, and the snowy mountains. The land and do nothing else. Missing mountains. Just as you're about to make a misstep, someone pulls you out backward. The mountain shadows overlap, and a distorted darkness creeps across your eyes. In the face of your trepidation, the fortune-teller-looking woman asks you to draw a card. How strange. As far as you know, neither the Sammy or the Cyclops Sarkaz use divination as a way to tell the future. Pick the tarot card on the right. Dead Tree Echoes. Drum to call their ancestor souls. Drum to communicate with the vegetation. Drum to exorcise evil spirits. Shaman after shaman have reached this beastbone hammer. Have received this beastbone hammer. Some leaving a longer echo than others. Be at ease. The object he left behind is untainted. He was a shaman who led many through life and death, until he himself also rose from the dead. Now that is a truly frightening memory. I've been wandering between the mountains ever since, in order to bring him back from the gigantic shadow. Ceremony of healing. Right now I'm preparing for ending 2. The funerary fleet is performing some sort of rite. Drums beat to a rhythm as the people bend down to kiss the water, whispering prayers for the spirits as the sun's rays. The host invites you to do as the locals do. Gladly join in. After the ceremony concludes, you learn that in recent years, the locals have been disturbed by huge shadows in their dreams. Can a rite like this really improve their situation? As soon as you make your question, you feel dizzy from the water you drank. The locals are quite critical of your attitude, but give you an item as a token of their care. You obtain much needed supplies from the Sami people and can now continue your expedition. Before you leave, you let an accompanying research team member take a few more photos, so you have something to silence your skeptical associates with when you brag about this later. Rain! It's black rain. We just finished harvesting a few samples, the man says in a numb voice. But now both my samples and equipment are destroyed, and my people have run away. What do I do about the money I owe the company? Have him take a good look at his drone. There's not even a single drop of water in his equipment, and it works perfectly. But the man seems to be seeing a different scene. Oh, he's hallucinating. And he pushes you away, asking you to take whatever you want and leave quickly. You try persuading him a few more times, but he ignores you completely. It's like, well, man, if you don't want your supplies, I'll take it. Black footprints. Your teeth are chattering. Dead beasts. Countless dead beasts. Dirty snow covering their bodies. Intuition tells you to not go any further in this direction, but you're unable to free your legs from the quagmire of fear. You don't know how long you spend standing there until the burly local warriors have you surrounded. Well, it started so friendly and now this. Santala Sanctuary. The old tree's attendant helps you see the truth of this land devastated by disaster. Fear will eventually come even if you do not move forward. The endpoint of escape is only nothingness, and you never had a choice in the first place, fortunately. Your companions are by your side, and they are all willing to accompany you on this long road with a slim chance of success. Clairvoyance's direction. The blizzard on the uninhabited ice field makes it impossible to see anything, and you and your research team companions fight the extreme cold as you try your best to keep up with the mysterious procession in black. Where are these Cyclopses heading to? They reply, the next millennium. Tell me about the reason. The Cyclops did not answer, but one whispers in a warning as they pass. Your destiny is already unclear. Can you even remember where you're headed? You turn around, and at some point, Belarkvin approaches as she mumbles to herself. The ending is the purpose, and the purpose is the reason. Ama Tal. You had thought that this was just another path by a beast, but halfway through you realize your companions are not your team members, but a herd of horn beasts. At the end of the path, there is a huge white horn beast sleeping soundly in a flower bed. The horn beasts frolic and graze around it, and a spring flows right by its side. A thought suddenly pops into your mind. It does not live here, but the one that exists because it rests here. Oh, that's a beast lord. She's one who actually Sami tribes worship. Aww. Look for a tree scars trail. After you ask your question, the horn beast's antlers, adorned with ice crystals, begin to shed, and the fragments fall to your feet. You're about to express your thanks, but you lift your head and realize that before you is an accompanying shaman, not a horn beast. The revelations from your dream fall into your hands, becoming two ominous Bodartles. Scar. Cataclysm courses land. Souls of travelers stirred thick. Void. Realm-bound deeds disappear. Minds return into the void. Hero's helmet. The Foldardo leads you to the location of the tree scar. His clan looks to have just gone through a terrible battle, and everyone seems to have some sort of injury. But there is no groaning or a terrible battle. But there's no groaning or cursing. They are like the force itself, silent and yet powerful. You wish to go up and talk to him, and hand him the full dartle. But after he sees the woodcut in your hands from afar, he orders the warriors to rise and continue marching across the snowfield. All that is left for you is a messy camp. I wonder why he doesn't want to see that. Search the camp. They take most of their supplies as they leave, but you find the tree scar's helmet in his tent. A Sami warrior leaving their helmet behind as they go off to fight means that they are determined to die in battle. You think over the Foldardo's contents and hurriedly lead your team to catch up with the tree scar. Tree scar helm. And it's nice meeting you. Happy March to you too. It carries status and power, but to the warrior, it is only an artificial object for the weak to protect themselves. Some discard it to abandon their duty. Some discard it only to strengthen their resolve to give up their lives. The fortress built in the north has granted you passage, and the warriors would scale the high walls and watch the borders of Sami day and night. Prophecy. Sami's entropy. The research team walks up from the mountain ridge, the land behind gradually fading away. The distant scenery is shrouded with wind and snow, and the only thing nearby is a single path with no end in sight. You and your teammates are walking in between, not knowing where you have come from or where you're going, merely repeating the advancement of this journey. The mountain gale roars, the falling snow rumbles, and the nature questions the group. Do you still wish to proceed? Magellan's journey was so much smoother than this one. Put on the helmet. Hold the tree scar helm with firm resolve. A warrior's determination is unquestionable, and Sami knows this. And so the wind and snow slowly disperse. In the distance, as far as the eye can see, the darkness becomes increasingly distinct. Ooh. Then we go for Santala, Belakvin, and ending 2. You know, I'll keep this one. So let's go to the other wonderful records. Taking a little sip of the drinky. Hydrating my soul. So expeditioner interviews. File number 3. Parting. Part 1. The old tree had been snapped in half by the time Santala arrived. The last time she came, taking Magellan away with her, she knew the building underneath the old tree would be crushed by the snow, and the tree would lose its last support, but she did not expect it to have become so fragile. The wind and snow raged. Soon, the branches would be covered up, disappearing completely from sight. Perhaps it has truly died this time. It is said that a long time ago, when this place was still a forest, it was the most visible dead tree in the woods. No one knows how it died. Then the snowstorm came, and the forest retreated, but the dead clan tree could not move. Thus, one clan split into 2. One group migrated to the forest, while the others stayed behind to watch over the old tree. Santala chose to stay with the old tree. She was a tribe's shaman, born to serve the tree. Few know the reason for her loyalty. Her life was bestowed to her by the old tree. It seemed strange for the dead to grant life to the living, but that was the truth. She was a sickly infant who should have been abandoned, but the old tree's branches kept her behind. Coincidence though it may be, the Sami know that everything in nature has meaning. Therefore, they raise a child like any other. And the snow priest treated her like a daughter. And Santala proved worthy. She had a natural gift, dominion over wind and snow. Without Santala, her clan would not have been able to stay behind with the tree. She did all she could to serve her clan tree. Life in the snow was hard but bearable to one whose faith was strong, until Ursus slaughtered her people. Sad. I hope they're okay. For Tifon, Santala, and Belakvin. And not just long hair Magellan, just like the other stuff too, like, oh, Magellan, are you okay, girl, with all the black dripping stuff? Like, yeah, she fine, totally. Part 2. Whether by chance or by fate, she avoided death, becoming the only survivor of the massacre. But death came again to the tree she served. It was not a passing in the physical realm, but of the cognitive realm. She found the group that had migrated and told them of the tragedy. The leader of the clan expressed his regrets and invited Santala to rejoin them. But seeing the new clan tree rising from the earth, and that the clansmen had begun to forget the old tree, she chose self-exile. Even though her clansmen already performed the ceremony of parting for the old tree, and the mystic instruction to replant the clan tree, Santala felt like the tribe abandoned the old tree. Aw, she really loved that tree. The new generation does not know what the old tree is. In a few decades, the tribe that once venerated it will forget it entirely, and then it will fade into myth, becoming a mere symbol. Santala refuses to accept it. She will leave the old tree's mark behind, even if she becomes an outcast. She's the old tree's servant. Perhaps the tree knew, which is why it truly died in the physical sense when Santala visited again. It collapsed in the snow, and snow soon pounced on its wilted branches like a pack of hungry wolves. And along with it, the memories, the pain, and the sorrow of the past. For some reason, Santala feels peace when facing this moment at last. Hatred for the Ursus, bewilderment at her kin, disappointment at their leader, regret towards herself, even her yearning for the old tree, all buried in the snow with the body of the dead. If the old tree wants her to seek a new life, then so be it. Santala leaves, taking nothing with her. The old tree's probably like, girl, please move on from me. Part 3. Something blocks Santala's way as she journeys from the ice fields to the Rhodes Island safe house. It is an old tree, a human, a great crow. It is simply there, as though it has always been. The past is the present, is the future. Therefore, they have stayed, are staying, will stay here. The power of the words penetrate time and space, waiting for Santala to offer tribute, waiting for language. The snow around them sinks, while the thorns climbing up form a perfect circle around the two. Santala does not stop. She walks up to the old tree. She extends her arms and embraces it. Until now, she has never touched the old tree like this, whether out of respect, pride, or some other reason. This old tree is not yet wilted. Its bark is hard and its branches lush. Old but healthy, it awaits words of blessing from its junior. Thank you. This is her tribute to the old tree. The tree gladly accepts. Then she walks up to the human dressed as a snow priest. The human holds a staff in the left hand, and the right hand is open with its palm facing upwards. As though demanding something, Santala grabs the hand and shakes it. Memories flash across Santala's eyes as she feels a touch on her skin. The first time she made contact with Rhodes Island, the first time she shook hands with Mia, the first time she reproved of the doctor, her first reconciliation with an Ursus. Thank you. Santala holds this human's hands in hers and bows. This is her tribute to the human. The human gladly accepts. Finally, she walks up to the great crow. All three of its eyes are on her, but their gaze goes past Santala and into the distance. After thinking for an instant, Santala takes out a jar from her belt and pours out a candy into her palm. Once, she thought honey was the sweetest thing in the world until she encountered this. She extends her hand towards its beak. The candy's still on it. It snaps up the candy and swallows it. Thank you. This is her tribute to the crow. The crow gladly accepts. When Santala looks up again, everything has disappeared. She stands before Rhodes Island's safe house, feeling like she has walked a long way. What awaits her is warmth, a full belly, and the kindness of her friends. The reward she earned from fate, Santala gladly accepts. Yay for the power of friendship. And now to learn about Balakvin's one. File number 4. Past the eye could see. Balakvin follows the Cyclops procession that has entered the ice fields, freezing... Or part 1, yeah. Part 1. Balakvin follows the Cyclops procession that has entered the ice fields. Freezing wind rages, and an environment even harsher than the rocky caves in the mountains denies the possibility of life's continuation. The unknown future is always frightening, but the Cyclops that have moved north will continue, as long as they have not foreseen ill fate. There are natural shelters in the ice fields that provide temporary cover, but they are not their destination. Get closer to the prophecy, see clearly, and form the barrier against disaster, extending the survival of the frozen earth of the north for another millennium. The Cyclops had begun to guide ahead when the ring appeared in their foresight. When the shadow's corruption of Sami began to accelerate, preparing for the new migration, sacrifice is the word all too familiar to them. Kazo has long bathed in blood since the distant past. The Cyclops no longer gaze upon Kazdel, but they are keenly aware that if the T-Kaz are to keep their land, someone must keep watch of the far north. Just as the warriors of Sami have built defensive lines on the mountains to protect their homes and loved ones, Balakvin is a dissident among them. The pessimistic Cyclops trusts no outsiders. The Sarkas have seen too much parting, hatred, and betrayal. The prophets who constantly gaze upon the future do not carry with them the hatred of the past. They are unwilling to accept uncertainty that will cloud their foresight. Even if the survey teams have arrived at the end of the ice fields, the Cyclops refuse to work with them or tell outsiders of the great vision they see. The brief opening of the door the mutual annihilation of the Sami's ancestral spirit and the invading demon, have caused the vision to become even more broken and unfathomable. They abide Valorkin's presence. The young dissident must hasten her steps to keep peace with her tall kin. They whisper from time to time, exchanging news about the ice fields and demonic corruption. In this procession, she is neither hero nor sinner. They know she has thrown herself into the fate too complex and intricate. One false step and she will fall into darkness. Therefore, she must stay calm. She must stay with them, for now. They also know that she will not stay forever. Where she has been anywhere, her own ends lie. An ill fate awaits. It has always been so. It has always been so, eh? Oh no. Part 2. Balak Vin climbs a high wall that the warriors of Sami have built in the mountains. I'm not here as a representative of my tribe, she tells the snow priest leading the legion. I do not fear the prophecies of the Cyclops, answers Igthyrner. The foresight of the Cyclops may predict disaster, but not how far in the future it will come, nor can they sense the realization of a prophecy any sooner than others. As the demonic influence observed by the Cyclops grows, and Sami and her warriors begin to struggle to stop the corruption from spreading, the warriors of the mountains have also begun to notice. Unusually, Igthyrner agreed to meet with the Cyclops. Valak walks through the cold watchtowers among the mountains and hears weary voices divining the whereabouts of missing warriors. They have taken terrible losses. The lands of Sami are being taken over by the shadow of fear by the day. The tribes of the south begin to recognize the signs, and the tribes of the north begin to migrate south. Balak does not need to warn her counterpart that this is simply the beginning of the crisis. The Snow Priest, leader of his people, has spent his entire life fighting Sami's great enemy. He knows what is transpiring. The Sami must make a choice. They must change. Okay, he's that cool warrior dude. She's disappointed, but not surprised. The Igthyrner rejected her offer to help on the spot. There's no need for us to talk unless you intend to become a warrior of the mountains, he says. You continue to insist that holding this position is the only way out, even though you have seen Sami wounded and battered, even knowing that you will draw your last breath in the cold, frozen soil. I can already see what you intend to reveal. Then why have you agreed to dialogue with the Cyclops for the first time in decades? If your mind is already set. Beneath his scar, the Snow Priest's eye turned to her. To see what you know but do not intend to reveal. Velek says nothing. It is no secret that the Cyclops tell only Ilt's fate. But those with foresight may attempt to divine the order in which the inevitable occurs. The demonic threat approaches. The time Sami has left is fleeting compared to the 1,000 years that came before. Velek ponders the instant that she foresaw, and knows that the ring at the end of the ice fields must be reached before demonic corruption becomes impossible to resist or even fathom. Before the end of days that the Cyclops have gazed upon for 1,000 years, she must manifest that ill fate brought about by touching the door, so that the ring will be a path towards the future, not the end. But just as the warriors of the mountains do not abide deception, the Cyclops do not define fate with language. All she says is, I see tragedy but not the end. Thyrnir, who had already gotten up and was about to leave, stops. Without turning back, he asks one final question. Do you intend to deceive fate? No, I intend to accept it, answers Valakvin. As she descends the wall, the warriors no longer point their weapons at her in contempt. Part 3. Valakvin finds the reckless explorers from the outside. The cave is so dark that even the Cyclops can barely see. The Outlanders, who know nothing of Sami's hidden dangers, wave their torchlights in panic, trying to cut open the darkness that would not be lit. The Outlanders in Valakvin were hardly more than strangers, and one did not need the gift of foresight to see their end. Valakvin could see it the first time she saw them 2 weeks ago. yet she chose to follow them and attempt to render help. Not long after the Outlanders set out. The wind and snow covered all tracks. Felt like Finn was too young then. I'm wondering how this is gonna go since she is saying that she does not want to, go against fate. She wants to accept it, but at the same time, she's just like, if I can reach that ring, I'm gonna touch it. I'm gonna open a portal, let's do it. Totally not trying to change fate at all. It's like, I know our clan says that there's gonna be an end and all, but nah. The wind and snow covered all tracks. Valakvin was too young then. She'd hardly ever left her cave, nor seen many tracks left behind by demons. She found the place after many days in harsh weather, after she had reached the point of exhaustion. When Valakvin found them, she knew that she was too late. On their faces, now disconnected from their distorted twitching bodies, she sees her overtaking all reason. She sees fear overtaking all reason. The pair of eyes turns towards her. In the undispellable darkness, thirsting for salvation. Help. Please help. Amidst the silent call for help, Valakvin raises her staff with trembling hands. Necrosis arts fall upon the body of the explorer that was about to be turned. She wanted to save them, but she could not offer the hope of life. Only inevitable death. The dissonance of life comes to an end. The young Cyclops turns around, shuts her eyes, and stands silently in the shadows. She steadies her thoughts and clears her thinking, so that the unfathomable foe cannot find weakness in her reason. Her own silhouette gazes at her with a mournful expression in the darkness. When she closes her eyes, the shadow mutters, "Why do you go forth? Fate has always been unmoved by your efforts." Valakvin remains silent in its gaze, but eventually answers firmly, "Because I saw you." Yes, she wanted to save those people, but that was only her wish, not the reason for her going forth. She chose to follow the trail of the Outlanders because she saw a vision of this instant, the vision of her failed rescue. She set out to realize the fate that has been determined. The shadow sighs. You've seen it. The future holds nothing but tragedy. Valakvin can feel her uncontrollable trembling diminish, along with the demon's hold over her mind. She knows that she can escape now. Yes, you're the tragedy that I foresaw, she says to herself, but you are not the end. She opens her eyes and then walks towards the cave's exit. In her hand, she holds a journal left behind by an explorer. It was not the first Outlander relic that she had collected, nor would it be the last. You are merely the present. Ooh, merely the present, eh? Oh, it's gonna be interesting seeing the next ending. Ending number 2, Winterfall. Pressing play first and being good, not looking at the parts first. It is well known that Semi-Villain has his favorites. It taught the daughter of winter to tame the wind and snow, and give to the dying warrior the life force of a branch. The greatest snow priest of the north was brought back from the brink of death, repaired by the earth, his missing horn replaced by a tree branch. I'll hold back the snowstorm. You guys need to leave. Tell this to the other warriors of the north. Once again, we've encountered a disaster exceeding all previous records. The threat from the ice fields is increasing, and his horn is broken. The blessing has returned to the earth. The gifted life has faded away. The body is full of black cracks, unable to return to the mountains and force anymore. An important position on the front lines has been lost. The corrupted warriors have been pacified through our combined efforts. The shaman Santala oversaw the ceremony of parting. After hundreds upon hundreds, thousands upon thousands of battles, winter has come. The warriors of the mountains know better than anyone that demonic corruption cannot be reversed. Their minds and bodies are doomed to become both the enemy's territory and sustenance. Aww. He's become corrupted. They are frozen in their last act. Their bodies are occupied by death and nullity. But Santala knows that one last spark of willpower continues to struggle against the cold winds of the ice fields. That one last vestige of consciousness keeps them waiting, enduring all the pain and suffering that fate has had in store for them, enduring their own tragic ends, waiting for those who would come after them, waiting for the cleansing frost to cover the carcasses the dark wounds had corrupted, to cover the last marks of tree scar on the land. Santala raises her staff high to bid farewell. The hero leads his warriors into their final battle, their inevitable fate. No war cry, no questions, no turning back. Fate never wavers, warriors are never moved by time. Young torchbearer. The lives of the warriors become frozen. They cast their gaze beyond Santala, continue to keep watch over the eternal ice field. Santala walks into the cemetery of warriors, through them, towards the next camp on the front line. Once, she was the most favorite child of Sami. Now, she feels the embrace of the wind and snow again. She commands the wind to brush away the snow from the warrior's broken horn. This trace of wind is soon buried again, beneath the falling snow. She was once Sami's favorite child, and now Sami's current favorite child is Bagalad. But she knows that, from this day forth, she will continue to brush away the black snow that falls on the land. Until... Part 1. Warriors never welcome death. A procession marches on to the sight of the gray dawn rising from the horizon of the frozen soil. You don't think Magi's Sami's fave? At least one of them. Or fave adopts a daughter. A procession marches on to the sight of the gray dawn rising in the horizon of frozen soil. It is a tribe in the process of migrating to the south, escorted by warriors. Their steps are heavy, perhaps because of injury, illness, or weakness. The sound of footsteps fades into the snow. Even the wind is silent. A baby's crying echoes in the great wilderness. The leading snow priest slows his steps and turns around, as though spurred by this crying. The mountains are almost pitch black in the twilight. Through his helmet, he gazes backwards, towards their erstwhile home. Those in the procession follow suit, looking in the same direction as if they had been resisting the urge for a long time. Eiktharnir, someone whispers as a reminder. The leading snow priest warrior gathers his emotions and continues to lead the procession forward in silence. He clutches the full dardo in his hands, and the tiny wooden board makes a little sound in his knuckles. If this isn't eventually for him, well, at least he's going out like a badass. In his case. Eiktharnir is not prone to sentimentality. He has seen too many demon attacks and tribes forced to migrate. The conversations between the Snow Priest and Sami help the warriors of the north predict demon appearances, so that tribes may be moved away by troops mobilized. The All-Father has favored him, answering virtually any questions he had. But simply knowing the ill fate ahead of time is not always enough to avoid it. The exhausted pack of following his warriors are just another group of survivors. Eiktharnir rarely thinks of her, but she intrudes into his thoughts for no particular reason, along with the winding walls of the Fial Bitterton, and the charcoal marks on the wooden map. He can almost imagine her among his band of survivors, even though he's never seen a sight like that, nor was he part of her final rescue mission. The tribe walks without a word, no complaints, laments, or questions. It seems that they all knew this would happen to them, since long ago. The present is bearable, for death eventually comes to all, and they will return unbound to the demon-corrupted earth, the home that they were forced out of, and be reunited with their families and ancestors. But Eiktharnir does not know. The one question Sammy never answered: is she still alive? Where is she? Even the most experienced channelers among the shamans could not divine the answer. As the calming herbs she had stuffed in his helmet wilt and fade away, Eiktharanir begins to accept the inscrutable fate. He will never see her again, not even the afterlife. Just like those warriors who never turned back in the face of the demonic corruption. No one saw them again. He should reminisce, but his burden is too heavy. He has no time. He will fight, be injured, recover, fight, avoid defeat, and survive. As long as one spark of life remains within him, her figure will continue to exist in his memory, and his shame and regret will keep it alive. The Sami walk on the frozen earth in silence, accepting their fate. Only the infant in her mother's embrace cries. The mother, who is a shaman, sings in a low voice to comfort her child. She has already removed her warrior's helmet, tying it to her bag. In it are some herbs and fruits. Eiktharanir warms a little stone with arts and puts it in the infant's tiny hands. The mother smiles, then looks at her daughter with grieving eyes. "I am sorry," she whispers. "For what?" For bringing her into a Sami that does not know peace." Eiktharanir remains silent for a while. "I am too," he answers. Aw, I feel like that's not something they should apologize for, honestly. It's not like it was on purpose. And now part 2. A twisted fate's mockery. As soon as he heard the news, Eiktharanir returned from the Fjall Vitterton to the Sami heartlands in search of the Black Blade roaming the forests. Whether it was the machinations of the Ursus, or if they had already paid the price for their arrogance, there was only one thing to do. All invaders must be expelled. It was not a matter of responsibility. The land of Sami was the home of the Sami people, and one needs no reason to defend one's home. But Eiktharanir could not shake his uneasiness. It was not often that Eiktharanir felt uneasy. He was not afraid of death, nor the manifestations of fear that transcended death. Falling leaves tremble, wilted branches moan, and the wind brings soundless lament. Sami speaks, but its words are swallowed by the new holes. The fallen animals have no life in their eyes. Black blood convulses from their wounds, forcing its way out of the blood vessels and forming a stream on the muddy ground. Death becomes more concentrated as the warriors advance deeper in the forest. Streams converge into a river. Wilted leaves and branches obscure the sky above, but the river is filled with reflections of stars in the sky. The air is cold and sticky, condensing the mist into a pallid shroud, welcoming the march of death. The flames of the snow priests call up flicker like candles in the wind. At the end of this baleful river, Eiktharanir verifies the hypothesis he had formed over the past few days. The shaman of cold death is unrecognizable, but rumors from survey teams along the way and the results of numerous fruitless rituals by the snow priests point to the same conclusion. He is Santala, or rather, Mishia Santala, or rather, she was. She was? The blade's armor scattered on the ground, surrounded by the black souls of the dead. Santala put an end to the demon's blade at the foot of the great tree, but did not manage to destroy the death that it spread. The warped space no longer obeys the rules of reality. Black rivers slither and arise in the shadows of the new frozen monstrosity. They soon converge in tangible form, and sharp black ice spikes hurls themselves towards the struggling warriors with impossible trajectories and unbelievable velocity. Eiktharanir would not need to show quarter. This was not the first time he or his fellow warriors executed a fellow Sami that had been taken or purged, the evil that defiled his kinsfolk. But gradually, the black curtain falls, the dissonance of countless deaths echoes among the living, and the warriors fall one by one, like trapped beasts in an arena. All they can manage is to end their lives with what strength they had left, so that what is left of them will not nourish the demons. As the last warrior falls, Eiktharanir is left with no choice but to gamble. He attacks the wall of the Black Rivers with all of his strength. Eldritch hues leak from the crack, melting into colorful mud that sprays itself around unnaturally, accumulating and floating in the air. He runs until he reaches the frozen monstrosity. plunging his weapon deep into the calamity's physical form in an effort to stop it. All the demons freeze in place. Arknights has struck the core. All that was left was to use the Snow Priest's powers to fold and seal it, and this demonic mire would not spill beyond the Sami heartlands. Then, the blade's armor on the ground begins to roll and leap, assembling a form that should not exist. Black spear aimed at his back. There was no time. Arknights knew it was over for him, but the battle was not over yet. Colder than snow, harder than ice, bone-chilling rime explodes from within the Snow Priest, covering even the wilted black wood in a shell of white. After a few long seconds, there was neither Snow Priest nor demon, nor life nor death. Well, ha ha ha. Demons cannot corrupt something that's already dead. They're forever like that, frozen standing. That is a tomb. Ah. Now, part 3. Return from exile. Santala knew this day would come, but she always thought Arknights was weak, too weak to look his own love in the eye, so weak that he must continue to reproach and punish himself. With his wife's death, he was not someone unmoved by personal ties. He only chose to turn away because he could not forgive himself for wavering. He learned to endure because of his weakness. He carried more and more on his shoulders so that the souls of man could rest in Sami's embrace rather than nourish the disaster, so that the young need not be born in darkness, nor abandoned in snow. He could not become a pure fighting machine, so he let the bonds he fought for bind him, let them become his fuel and his strength, his ward, his curse. Curse. How could he have fought the increasingly frequent and dangerous disasters if he did not carry such great curse? But even the powerful Arknights fell. If there were any survivors left to tell of the battle, he would have said that it was no different from any other. The warriors of the north had long fought foes of such as these, but this time there were too many, and too little margin for error. Santala was not confident about such heavy responsibility. The curse she bore was nothing compared to his. No Sami could claim to carry with them such love as to equal to a curse. But Santala is lucky. She bore witness to the unwavering will of Arknights and the others who fought in the death. She bore witness to the devotion to peering into the future, the determination of the eternal hunt, the thirst to see the unknown. She inherits all that was built and accumulated in the past, and she will carve out what needs to be faced and broken through. The outcast returns to her roots, resuming the ritual she had turned her back on so many years ago under the watchful eyes of Samivilin. A new Snow Priest takes the vacant seat, a responsibility too heavy for anyone to bear. The powers that she must balance and make use of are more dangerous than any curse, but the daughter of the Santala tree has never known submission. Part 4. A life from a dead tree. The warriors head down the tree and pray for protection. He puts down a bowl of hot tea before following suit with his offering. He then stretches his palm towards the tree and waits calmly. If misfortune is imminent, the tree will shed its prophecy to its people. But for the Sami warriors who are willing to accept any fate, it is not worth caring whether or not they leave empty-handed. However, it is not a tree that is reflected in his eyes. It is a massive cluster of crystalline ice with countless branches extending from it. It instinctively takes on the shape of a sandalwood tree. At one point, the ice clusters did indeed possess a form of arts that could protect the people, maintain the stability of this place by providing a vanguard of wind and snow for the soldiers. But now, it is akin to a dead tree, sapped of all its vitality, slowly waiting to melt away. Many years ago, a snow priest used her own lifeblood to complete these arts. Flesh and blood became thorns, life was woven to ice, and thus she took root here, hoping that granting life through death would be the key to survival. But in the warrior's mind, there's only one tree here worth praying to. The warrior stands motionless for some time, maintaining his posture with upturned palms extended until his weapons rust and his leather armor rots from the moisture. Then, after confirming that the tree had granted him nothing, He places his hands on the offerings he brought and begins to eat the rotten flesh and blood that has become one with the soil, a necessary preparation for the battle to come and a part of his solemn ceremony. However, he does not know who his enemy is or what he is fighting. Within the core of the ice cluster, a shard of crystal clear orginium witnesses all. This is the foreign substance left behind after the rest of the original snow priest had completely disintegrated. Her crystallized eyes. It sees that the warriors defending Sami's homeland are not actually the children of Sami. In the beginning, the seeds of chaos were sown in the minds of the Sami warriors, who did in fact stride into the battle with the demons. Later, however, all living beings touched by the calamity had their minds rewritten. Oh gosh, how far in the future is this? So sad. It seems that time itself had elongated due to the change in this measurer. That day and night had been blurred by pitch darkness. Blurred by a pitch dark crevice. Crevice that cannot be sealed. Originium spans its land, so it can see the entire earth covered by the same shadow. People are doomed to forget the Snow Priest's pursuit as well as her tragic wish, because they can no longer understand the concept of existence. Existence is bestowed a brand new form, fated to wander in nigh-eternal silence. The all-seeing Originium Eye thinks nothing, and communicates nothing. Just as the land itself is now, it is neither possible nor meaningful to clear away its disjumbled cognition. Only life itself can continue to seek out possibilities, reminisce about the past, pursue the future, and fight against all eternity in deathly silence and desolation. Originium recorded the Snow Priest's questions to herself in her final moments. Have I prayed for all the power I can muster? Have exhausted every option? Will my people have a place to go? Upon the empty, black earth, the ice cluster sheds a single lonely tear. Aw, poor Santala. She tried her best. But man, what's with these tree creatures? We technically got that underwater tree thing inside of Kirula Arbor, and now we have another tree here. I'm not gonna be surprised if the other ISs have trees too. There'll always be a tree, apparently. Okay, and then there's Surveyor's Vision, Innocent's Vision, and Guardian's Vision. Though, I like the Sami tree better. Between the two trees. Surveyor's Vision. Redeem Misfortune. I feel so bad for the warriors who just get corrupted. Because you can't stop it, and it happens eventually. It's like, well, if you become a warrior, it's gonna happen, so... When it happens, you won't know, but it's bound to happen eventually, just oof. Redeem Misfortune. The Cyclops had foreseen Eithyner's sacrifice, but he was still one step too late. She called out to the center of the battlefield, but the gravely wounded Snow Priest already lacked the strength to respond. Through all this, what supported the hero of Sami was his fight. In his fight against demonic corruption, was a figure who had already passed away. When Eithyner looked through his dimming eyes for the last time at the land he had so fervently blessed, what kept his scarred body from being transfigured was the longing he held for his wife. However, it was not the memory of her itself, but rather the mantra he repeatedly told himself, I must remember her. Remembering a soul that had been contaminated by demons. A restless, nameless soul that became her last trace in the world. This lingering obsession dissipated into the thin air with a vague call from the Aether. He realized that he could no longer remember the voice of his beloved. Aww. Out of everyone here so far, Eithyner, he gets like the saddest ending. Bro just keeps thinking of his late wife. And even in the end, he's like, I can't even remember her voice. Dies. Just oof. Innocent's vision, reverse order. Why did the people of the tribe give me a wooden shield instead of a staff when they announced my coming of age? Because you lose a shield. Why do you want to go to the ice fields of the northern reaches? Because I saw a door open at their end. You don't make any sense. No wonder nobody wants to talk to you. Once destiny is reveals its course, there is no distinction between cause and effect. However, if some things are destined to happen, I at least hope I can change the order in which they arrive. The order? You're still a child, and I never invite you on this terribly long journey. However, are you determined to follow me anyway? I'd rather just be a what-if for him anyways. And Santala. But for Magalan, I think hers would be fine as an ending. The dying boy lies on the ground, recalling the fateful prophecy revealed to him by the Cyclops just moments ago. You've chosen to bring your own death forward to this moment. A moment when the calamity that will swallow all Asami is yet to occur. You're unable to die a hero's death, but at the very least, you're able to see the silver ice fields in this lifetime. And now for the Guardian's vision. Blind Prophet. Guided by the Cyclops, several forest shamans who once safeguarded the tribe are about to head north. Due to the recent series of strange phenomena, the tribe is in disarray. The well-learned Cyclops intervened just in time to inform them of the danger that lurked in the northern ice fields. Meanwhile, the Cyclops promised that through her foresight, she would do her best to bring everyone back safe and sound. Thus, the tribe held a brief farewell ceremony for the shamans, adorning their staves with branches and leaves from the clan tree. But what they did not know was that the Oracle herself had long been unable to see the true face of fate. She had raised her hand and pointed northward, only to grope around in the darkness in search of a possible path. Since she's groping around in the darkness in search of a possible path, she's like, well, I know this is gonna happen, but I don't know if I want it to happen this way or this way. You know, let's just... Okay, where's a good way? Reaches out. This ending, yeah, this path. I like this path more. Let's go this way. Do-do-do-do-do. I wonder how the time gaps are gonna be. And oh man, it's just slowly getting worse. Tomorrow we have endings 3 and 4. Well, maybe ending 4 will be fine, just like how in Mizuki's one, Kirula Arbor, that last ending was so nice with, you know, our jellyfish bros flying away, meeting back up with the Doctor. It should be fine. It's gonna be great. Totally fine. Like heck, without going too far, Prophet's vision. She's gonna have a nice vision about what's gonna happen, totally. And heck, without spoiling too much, let's just... There's gonna be... Wait. Longing to the Abyss. That's probably gonna be a sad one, because Abyss. Or maybe this one will be the most ominous, actually looking at that. What begins follows what ends. The part that I worried about the most is how far the corruption is gonna spread. Because, ooh, that corruption sounds terrible. And it spreads so easily. On land, you have corruption. Demon corruption. In the sea, you have freaking terrors. There's no safe place because you can't really go for the sky. Kind of. Like, well, time to go to Talos 2. Goodbye, everyone. Do. know if they could do like a little, like, fusion. Or it'd be kind of funny if they just drive each other crazy and this both implode. But if they began to become friends, oh no. You know what? Goodbye, world. Yeah, let's go to the other planet. Let's go to Enfield. But things should work out decently. We just gotta believe. Let them cook. And heck, just based on how this integrated strategy is going, I am curious how the next one's gonna be. It'll totally be fine, right? Yeah. Fourth one... What's the worst? Or... a fourth one, but you know what I mean. The Amiya one. It's totally gonna be great. Belarvin's just trying her best. She wants to reach... or go for the path that she finds the best. We can hope for the best for her in that case. She cares too much, which is sweet. She's a good girl. Oh man, it's gonna be fun seeing how this ends tomorrow. I am so prepared. It's gonna be great. I feel like Typhoon's probably gonna be on top of Valakvin's side. Especially since Valakvin's trying to go for the better ending, the better route. And Typhoon cares about her friends, so it's gonna be great. And if there was betrayal, oh no. But nah. I'll believe in them. Okay. Just take a look at ending number 3. Okay, just gonna look at it a little bit, not go through it fully. A little sneak peek then. Okay, so it starts off with... Oh! Valakvin's opinion. Cute! Oh, just a cover. Oops. Let me see a tiny bit then. Longitude Abyss. Just based on the picture... It's gonna be that one song that inspired Magellan about the flowers. Ooh, it could be a portal behind her too. The portal surrounded by flowers. Which is true because we see the purple flowers here in the ground. So ta-da! They made it. They found it. And I hope she's able to touch it like she wants to. But if she doesn't, then oof. But now we believe in her. I'll be fine. Yes, definitely it. Flowery flowers? Or oops, not that. Yep, that's definitely the up-close part of it. For me, it's the flowers, because how else did that song spread around? Because someone must have gotten there to make that song. Which is like, who? What mad lad decided, you know what? This area with a portal, let me just make a song about the flowers, because, you know, these flowers stand out the most. Tee hee hee. That mad lad. Which I give mad props to as well. I feel like it's probably Sammy itself that's just like, you know what? I'm not sure if anyone can get here, so let me just make a little song of the place. Just in case anyone feels like going to the land of the flowers. Here you go, let's just place the song into some people's minds. And if it is the same flower that the Miriam found, then ooh. GG for Miriam. It was able to make it that far. It's very impressive. So I guess we will find out more tomorrow then. But tomorrow for sure we're gonna finish Expeditioners Joklumarkar. Woohoo! Tonight I'm gonna watch more Sonic X later on, like in about half an hour. But before that, I'm gonna be good and exercise a tiny bit. I've been bad today, I've just been sitting for the most part. I gotta go in the stepper. I gotta be semi-good. Gotta be extra prepared for con in a few weeks. I gotta look my best. With that being said, thank you for stopping by the stream. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day and epic gacha luck. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye. Oh, it's gonna be fun.